how to be more confident. This is probably one of the most desirable skills that pretty much everyone in the world wants to have. So, how are the ways that I can become more confident? It is not actually the case that someone who is naturally timid, someone who is naturally introverted, doesn't really get out of the box much, can just overnight become confident. That's certainly not the case for me, and a lot of the people who I know who were more timid, more introvert, who became very charismatic, very confident. I will share with you a couple of ways in which you can kickstart your confidence journey and give you a sense of security in that your confidence journey is making solid progress. Number one, resist the urge to apologize. Now, I know what many people would say for this, but I did something wrong. I should be sincere and show apologies. I get that. I myself was a very apologetic person most of the time. First thing I would say is sorry for bothering you. I'm not sure if this is smart. You're already being apologetic for doing nothing wrong. How to resist this? So, when the first thing happens, someone comes to you with an inconvenience, or they come with you with a certain favor. And let's say, in order to prioritize, you need to put this person's request aside. So, the way to phrase it,
I'm so sorry. I really need to get to this thing.
that doesn't communicate security, that communicates, I desperately don't want to lose your favor, I don't want to lose your approval. And so saying sorry is a get out of jail card, and it's misunderstood as a get out of jail card. The thing is that sorries, when they're overused, become virtually meaningless. When everything you first say is sorry, when every message you send begins with a sorry, it loses its significance, which is why it's strategic to use sorries. I myself would refrain from using sorry in general. For example, when you come late to a meeting or late to a hangout, for example, you are 10, 20 minutes late. It's not amusing. Maybe you will be on the other side of that as well. When someone comes really late, it is really inconvenient. A way to reframe that, but to also communicate that you are remorseful, instead of coming up,
So I'm 10 minutes late. I'm such a piece of shit.
no, not that. When you walk through the door or you knock on the door and you come in, hey, thanks for waiting 20 minutes. So thanks for your patience for waiting 20 minutes. You express that you appreciate their patience, and that alone will make people feel so much better and so much more fulfilled about waiting for you. It almost feels like their virtue is rewarded, which is a good thing. Many people feel very happy when you compliment that kind of thing. When you refrain from saying sorry, and let's say, for example, you're at work, a certain inconvenience happened because of something you did. You took an approach that had more so short-term gain but long-term pain. Instead of saying, oh, sorry, I stuffed that up, yeah. No. And instead, you frame it as, I didn't take the long-term approach. You're right in that there could have been ways I could have done that better. I know that now going forward. This not only communicates that you have considered the problem that it's caused, but also you've thought about it. So you've outlined the problem and you outlined what you're going to do in the future about what to do. So it also signals intelligence. And if you can out the sorry, it shows that you're poised in the situation and that you know how to rationally move forward. What this does is that it allows you to really come home thinking that you were not bending over backwards, but at the same time, winning the approval of other people. Because when you frame it like that, it's an impressive way to frame it. So that's one. Resist the urge to apologize all the time. Number two, pause. When you pause, it gives you time to think about what you're going to say next. And it also lets the person who perhaps just finished speaking their words sink in a little bit more. When someone says something to you, you feel like it's perhaps a little bit maybe confrontational. Some people will be like,
Oh, no, I'm not like that. That's not what happened.
Immediately someone could be super active, super defensive, and that person reacts immediately. They don't have that pause. In a situation when someone mentions, let's say a supervisor or a coworker mentions to you, so why did you take that approach? Now note that when someone says that, immediately it could be an accusatory statement. You could feel, oh crap, I'm in the spotlight and everybody on the table is looking at me. What do? Pause. When you do that, you give yourself time to think. You give your rational side time to get back on the wheel and actually think about the question that the manager or supervisor had asked. And from there, you give yourself so much more wiggle room to give a well-constructed, confident response. Even the pause itself has weight. It shows that you're thinking about the question that the manager had asked, or someone else for that matter. It could be something even as simple as, Alan, how's your day? And I would sometimes go, good, actually, really good. So what does that communicate? When someone asks such a simple question, it's so easy to go, yeah, good, you? But that's almost just like a fallback response. People do that all the time, particularly with how are you doing, or how's it going, or how's your day been? It's one of the main reasons why in the communication space, people advise not to ask this question. But you will encounter those questions, and sometimes when you do a response like that, when you respond in that kind of fashion, it shows that you're thinking about the question, you're actually thinking about how the day's been, and then you give a response. And it might invite curiosity. Good, actually, very good. That pause gives so much more weight to what you're going to say next. It almost like amps up your next words. So that's 2. Give a pause, give yourself some time before you respond. The third one is posture. Relax. It's so easy and unconscious. I know it's certainly the case for me, and even ongoing as I speak now. It's so easy to cramp up and start being panicky and be like,
oh, what is this person going to think of me? What's this situation like?
So, now that when you consciously notice that you're scrunching up, resist the urge to scrunch up and just loose, right? And don't be completely loose, like completely just like nonchalant, don't give a shit. No, it's not the message. You want to keep your neck straight, your back straight, and shoulders relaxed. But if nothing else you remember, keep the shoulders down. This actually calms your body down. So your body gets the message that you are loose, that you're not under threat. When you're not under threat, it actually has a mind trick on you. It certainly does that for me. When you have loose posture, you start to slow down and be much more secure in what you're about to say. When you feel a lot more secure, the words that come out are naturally more confident, more charismatic, more calm. That is very magnetic. When you speak in such a manner, and instead of like a frazzled, super fast tone, you show the person that I'm emotionally okay, and they in turn also feel emotionally okay. If you start to be panicky, that actually is a little bit, contagious. Sometimes the other person will be more concerned with perhaps calming you down rather than what you have to say. So that's the relax your posture, it relaxes your tone, it relaxes your mind in what you want to say next. 4. Resist the urge to ramble. It's really easy to ramble, especially if you love to talk. I myself love to talk. Conversation is one of the greatest things I think that exists. So insightful and so much you can learn from a conversation. But you can do that without talking endlessly about unnecessary detail. Oftentimes someone can say, how's your day going? Oh yeah, I went in the morning, I had a coffee, I went and walked the dog, but then the collar got jammed, and then I had to fix the collar, and then sometimes days can go bad, but resist the urge to completely word vomit. We all may have that friend who loves to ramble about unnecessary detail, Sometimes you ask them a question and go, oh, what happened to your door? Like they say there was a scratch. Bam, that sets them off, right? Now it's hard to do that because oftentimes that's a reminder of something unfortunate that happened. But give yourself some time and then respond in a succinct, concise manner. For example, someone scraped a car and let's say I was getting tailgated by somebody else. And then I was like, oh, and then wanted to dip into the left lane. I wasn't watching and then I scraped somebody's car, right? Yeah, I wasn't watching where I was going. I turned to the left and I scraped the car. Yeah. Gotta look in your blind spot, man. And that's it. You can mention, I was a little bit off kilter from someone who was tailgating me and I rushed to the side. Now, it's not easy to respond in a situation like that in such a calm manner. I'm not saying that you have to get it perfect. We all get a bit psyched up at times. But keep in mind to resist the urge, right? And if it happens, it happens. And if you ramble, you ramble. You're like, oh, I did it again. That's okay. But in that situation, resist the urge to give too much detail. Oftentimes the other person actually wants to talk or wants to speak to your pain or wants to talk about a similar experience that they had. But because you're talking all the time, they feel it's rude to cut you off. I myself have felt it very rude to cut someone off, even when they are rambling. So there you have it, guys. 4 simple techniques that you can start today or tomorrow when you first start to work. Just get into the mindset of appearing more confident, more charismatic with just these 4 simple techniques. Now, I've noted that for each of these, just resist the urge. So, resist the urge to apologize. Resist the urge to continue speaking and not pause. Resist the urge to be really tense. Relax. When you catch yourself tensing up, relax. And resist the urge to give unnecessary context when you're talking to somebody. I hope this helps at least one of you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.